Welcome to Election Judge Training for the City of Rochester. If you're taking this training, you've likely agreed to work in a Rochester polling place in 2020. And on behalf of the entire community, thank you. Election judges play a critical role in helping make sure all eligible voters have the option to vote in person on Election Day, even in unique times like we find ourselves in now. Without judges to work in each polling location, there can be no Election Day. To help you get ready for Election Day, this team judge training is required. Every 2 years, every election judge working in a polling place is required to take this basic election judge training to keep up their certification. So whether this is your first election or your 21st, this training will help you get ready to work in the polls and will meet your certification requirements through early 2022. Here are some brief highlights of what we'll be reviewing in this training. You can complete the different modules at your own pace, or all at one time, or one part at a time. We have a full checklist of all the components of this training on our website that you can use as a guide as well to follow along as you complete each portion of the training. We estimate it will take you about 2.5 hours in total to complete this full judge training, including the poll pad components. We have incorporated the required poll pad training for team judges into this training rather than having it as a separate training to complete. Within different parts of the course, there will be additional videos for you to review about poll pad operations related to the portion of polling place operations we just covered. We'd like to introduce you to the City Clerk team. These are the folks you will be primarily interacting with before and after Election Day. Every election, it is the City Clerk's office that works to recruit, train, and assign all election judges for polling places in the City of Rochester. We partner with Olmsted County to deliver successful elections for our community. Our City Clerk is Anissa Hollingshed. That is me joining you today in this training. And then also our Deputy City Clerk is Kelly Giesler. To introduce you to a few other members of our team that you may likely interact with, we first have Christan Cartwright. He is our primary point person overseeing election judge assignments. His regular job with us is as our license examiner, working with our many business licensees, but we are glad to have him at election season helping out on the election judge front. And then we also have Jennifer Kellogg, who is our city records manager. Normally, but during election time, she serves as our polling place guru. To give you a sense of our full team and help you put a few faces and names together, welcome to Team Clerk. Several of our assistant clerks are the people that you are likely to connect with if you call or email our office. Every single one of our teammates is committed to a successful election experience for all of our judges and our voters. If you have any questions about your service as an election judge, including when you're working, any questions about pay, or anything else relating to your assignment, please contact us. Also, I'd like to make you aware that if there are any concerns on Election Day about election judge conduct, we want to hear from you directly. It's very important to us to ensure that we have consistent, positive service for all of our voters, and we rely on you, our election judges, to make sure that that happens. If there are any judges in your polling place who are not following the requirements being shared with you in this training, please contact us immediately on Election Day so we can help. All election judges take and sign the election judge oath. This oath really speaks to what it is to be an election judge. In practice, this looks like being impartial, courteous, and professional, maintaining your polling place's accessibility, neutrality, and efficiency, and serving and assisting diverse populations from throughout our community. Keep in mind that voters remember their Election Day voting experiences. Voting isn't just another monotonous interaction with the government. It can be very high stakes and exciting. The first time you get to see someone cast their very first ballot is quite memorable. Voters also remember their check-in process, or how long they waited in line, or if they had any obstacles to voting. We want to make sure every voter's Election Day experience is a smooth and efficient one, just as we would want for ourselves. So within every polling place, we assign a head and assistant head judge who are typically seasoned judges with additional training. Their number one job is to support their team of judges. Your head and assistant head judge are an excellent resource for you to use throughout Election Day. There are a number of different roles that team judges can play. We'll talk more about those individual roles throughout this training. You can expect that you will likely have an opportunity to rotate through several of these positions during the course of an election day. As you prepare to work on Election Day, we want you to keep in mind a couple of things about time off from work, as well as some Election Day logistics. You have the right to take time off from work to serve as an election judge without loss of pay or without having to use vacation time. In order to do so, you should notify your employer at least 20 days before the election. If you would have earned more working at your day job than as an election judge, your employer will pay the difference. For example, if you are making $10 an hour as an election judge and at work you would make $15 an hour, your employer will pay you the difference of $5 an hour for the hours you would have worked. The city clerk's office will provide you with the appropriate notification letter for your employer on our office letterhead. In terms of Election Day logistics, remember that Election Day is a long day, so please be mindful about taking care of yourselves. Have a plan for meals. Think about whether or not your polling place is located near restaurants that may be open, or if you need to bring your own breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because of COVID-19, potlucks are strongly discouraged in our polling places this year, and there may be more limited options for shared break space. When you get ready for the day, also think about your polling place when planning what to wear. For instance, are you located in a breezy gymnasium and should wear layers? For our judges, there is no formal dress code. We only ask that you wear nothing political, as polling places need to be maintained as a politically neutral space. You may work in a precinct outside of your own, which means you may have to vote absentee before Election Day. If you do work in the polling place for the precinct in which you live, by all means, go ahead and vote on Election Day. We just ask that you move to the other side of the check-in table and go through the voting process like any voter would. Let's talk a little bit about the precincts and polling places in Rochester. We have 52 different precincts. The city is divided into 6 wards, and each of those wards are divided into between 6 and 12 precincts, making a total of 52 precincts across the city. All voters are assigned to one of these based on their home address. Each precinct is then assigned to a polling location. Some of our polling locations host multiple precincts, especially this year, as we have a total of 37 different polling locations. For all of our polling places, they must meet certain standards for accessibility, and they are visited annually by our City of Rochester teammates to ensure their appropriateness for continued use. We have had to reduce our total number of polling locations in Rochester for the remaining 2 elections in 2020. These reductions have equate to about 20% of our total polling places being reduced. Voters who vote on Election Day must vote in their assigned polling location for their precinct, so you may have to help voters with identifying where those locations are. In some instances, locations had to be changed to ensure maximum distancing could be achieved, and as well to ensure there was minimal overlap with other activities nearby. Because we had already partnered with Rochester Public Schools to make November 3rd a no school day, we were able to move a number of our precincts into schools that provide ample space for parking, curbside voting, and voter queuing and physical distancing throughout the voting process. If you are assigned to a polling location with multiple precincts voting in your location, make sure to pay close attention to the details later in this training about special considerations for combined precincts. There will also be location-specific instructions delivered to each voting location. In any year, preparing for elections is about making sure there are contingency plans for our contingency plans. This year, more than ever, we know we don't know everything to expect, but we always expect the unexpected and plan accordingly. There are many things we cannot control for. There are also many changes we know voters and election judges will face in August and November. This includes several first-time judges, many new locations, changes to layouts within those polling locations to ensure physical distancing, along with many other health and safety procedures being introduced this year. In August, voters will also see a new style for their ballot for the first time, with the partisan primary covering 4 major parties for the first time in recent history. We'll talk more about what that looks like and how to help explain it to voters later on in this training. The key thing all these variables and changes lead to is the need to be as prepared as possible. Although training is being offered virtually because of the current pandemic, we hope you find it to be comprehensive and helpful to you in preparing. You'll be serving alongside other judges, some new and some experienced, but all committed to serving our voters. State law requires a minimum of 4 election judges in every precinct. You will find more than that in your polling place, including in August when turnout will likely be lower, because we are committed to setting up every polling location, election judge, and voter for a successful election experience. With the new demands this year, including the need for frequent cleaning and sanitization and additional assistance to voters in maintaining physical distancing, most polling locations will have higher number of judges. We don't know exactly what turnout on Election Day will look like in either August or November, but we know we need to be prepared for anything, and we commit to you, our judges, that is exactly what we are doing. As we talked about, there are different modules and components within this training. Olmsted County has prepared 6 modules of training videos, along with accompanying poll pad videos to go over the basics of being an election judge and serving on Election Day. Added to this for our judges in Rochester are some additional components that help review some of the information specific to working in a Rochester polling location. After most modules, a short quiz needs to be completed before moving on to the next session. You can do as many modules, videos, and quizzes as you'd like at one time. We ask that you complete this full training by August 4th for the primary, if at all possible. Once you have finished all elements of this training, you will receive your certification good through May of 2022 for basic election judge training. Are you ready to get started? There's a short sample quiz with this video to help you get the hang of working in this system. If you have any trouble navigating the training, give us a call. We'll be glad to help. After you finish the sample quiz, continue working through each section of this training, ideally in order. You also have the option to review any parts of the training anytime you'd like, between now and Election Day. Our goal is to make sure you are ready to serve our voters in our polling places. If there's anything we can do to help make sure that is a reality, just let us know.